This is what we like to see. This is one of the biggest reasons why a lot of people are interested in Ashes of Creation, and that is the Freehold system and even the node system, which it didn't really go over in this particular live stream, but it is a bigger part of what a lot of people are looking at Ashes of Creation for, and it's that difference in how the world is changing around everything. Like just like how the weather system and the crafting and all that stuff were big live streams, this one is also a huge stream for the game. Now in this stream they talk about the Freehold system. They go in depth about a lot of how things have changed, what's new, how it works, what you can do on it, and we're just going to kind of recap that in this video. Now if you're new here, this is the MMO Ronin, if you don't know, and you can just call me Ronin, and this channel we cover MMOs. With that said, let's go ahead and jump into the Freehold system, and I have some notes here and they're pretty bad, but this is what we're looking at. So freeholds, if you don't know, are going to be plots of land that you can place buildings on, have livestock, crops, crafting in the open world, and freeholds also provide the highest level of processing that is available. Now this is going to allow players to set up shops near important areas like mines or hunting grounds, and it won't allow you to set up shops or build your freehold on points of interest like if it was a dungeon or something like that. Freeholds can be destroyed if it's going through a node siege system, and that's how freeholds, the space that freeholds are on, gets recirculated back into the world, is if there are node sieges and your freehold just happens to get caught up in that and your zone loses. So to own a freehold, you're going to have to complete a lordship quest to unlock the ability to bid on a permit at a node. The purpose of this quest is to kind of test the player's mettle, so to speak, so it's like a gate to see if they can actually take care of a freehold, because apparently it's going to take a lot to maintain. Now these are going to be predetermined parcels of land in each node's zone of influence, and if you're wondering how that works, it's like a node, it's going to have vassal nodes, and pretty much those are like the little nodes that are connected to the main node, and that can be like a huge amount of land. So if you're buying the node permit from the metropolis of a node, it's going to give you a huge area to choose from. Nodes are going to have many parcels that they can sell permits to, and people will be able to bid on them at an auction, and that's how you're going to get the permits. Now when you have your freehold and you build it up, you are going to be able to sell that freehold land because you can only have one freehold per account. And if you are kind of dealing in the back, as far as like doing some back alley deals, and you know like a node siege is coming to that zone, somebody's like, yo, you better watch out, there's a siege coming, you can potentially sell that node off and get some money from it real quick before it gets destroyed, and you'll have that money to bid on a new node area. And you kind of play the market that way in the background as the shady dealer if you choose to. So how the permit's going to work is it's going to be an item in your bag, and when you claim the parcel of land, you're going to go into a top-down view where you'll decide to put your freehold. Now they're doing the parcels of lands so you don't see freeholds all over the place. They have like a huge section marked out just for a freehold, and the freehold is going to take up like 1.5 acres of land, and then you'll be able to kind of see these spaced out as you're running around the world. You'll just come across a freehold, kind of like seeing like just a random cottage out in the middle of nowhere in the woods. This is what your freehold is going to be like. And so when you open up the freehold, there's only going to be a shed on the empty land, and that's the first building that will be there. The first building that you have to make is going to be a house. Now houses can be made with blueprints that you buy or find around in the world, and these are going to have different rarity levels. The blueprints you need for all of the buildings you can place on freehold if you decide to place buildings there. If you don't decide to place buildings, then you can use that for other things like crops or farm animals and things of that nature. The first building you have to build though is a house. You're going to have to get a blueprint for it. When you put the blueprint down, it's going to tell you all the materials you need, and then you're going to have to collect the materials to build the house. And I'm going to assume that this is going to be for all the other buildings as well. You need to collect the materials. Now this could be either through the caravan system, or you just happen to be near an area that has all those materials, or you're just walking them back and forth the long way. So once you have all the materials there, you can build your house. And one of the cool things about the house is that if you're in the house's like zone footprint, then you can't be attacked or damaged. So if there's a big war going on outside, you want to kind of stay safe from that at the moment until it clears up a little bit. You can just kind of like chill in your house and I guess log off. And if you're wondering if people will be able to steal your crops or anything like that, they will not be able to access anything that's on your node without your permission. So your crops and stuff are still gonna be safe, but you yourself can die. So as far as houses go, there's going to be 3 different house sizes that will give you options on how you want your freehold to be. For example, a large house will give you more space for furniture, but you'll lose more room outside to put farming or whatever you want to put outside. Now, the furniture will also give you bonuses because not all cosmetic, so it'll be a balancing act to figure out how big you want your house to be, what you want to put on. It's all depending on how you want to build this freehold up. There's going to be different styles of housing for each of the 9 races, and each one has a very distinct style from the others. And then you're going to have to buy the blueprint for those houses from that node's area. So like you're in like the node's vendor. If the node has certain racial affiliation with it, like it's a Renkai influences, you'll be buying a Renkai blueprint for the houses. And it can come from a boss, a scribe can write a blueprint, and you can sell housing blueprints to other players because there's like different rarities of these housing blueprints. Now there are some skins that were sold in packages for the houses and blueprints, and to place a skin on a building is just going to have to exist in that skin's normal lane. So if you have a shrine skin that looks like a shrine, you can place it on a blacksmithing building if it is from that artisan lane for blacksmithing or just artisan altogether, but you wouldn't be able to use that same shrine skin on like a house. You can install a player stall where you can, like a shop I mentioned earlier, that you can buy items unique to you, or you can have a tavern on your freehold where players can get potions or buffs on their way to whatever quest they have, and the freehold owner will be able to control the permissions that grant access to these different business services. So if they don't want anybody going into the tavern, or they're closing the tavern off at a certain time, they can be like, tavern's closed at 9 o'clock. You know, a way to kind of set hours and do a little RP elements with it. Shops closed at this time, nobody can access it type thing. You will be able to upgrade the buildings. They have their own tier list going in a lot of the buildings. So you supply more materials and you pay a certain amount of gold. Upgrading can increase services or make them more specific towards certain specializations. For example, the tavern, they upgrade it to give more rested experience, or you can go towards more of a food buff path with your tavern. You can have another tavern on your freehold as well, or repurpose the taverns to specialize in something else. So if you want one tavern for food and one tavern for rested experience, you'll be able to do that. Each crafting processing profession will have a building associated with it. And then these buildings can give bonuses to all related buildings. So like one building, your weaponsmithing station has a bonus, and you have more than one weaponsmithing station, which will each processing profession will have 4 stations, then all of those stations will have a bonus. Freeholds are the only places where master and grandmaster processing is available, and players can craft up to a journeyman level on the freehold. The highest level of crafting is going to have to be at a node city or town or metropolis. Each processing profession, like I said before, is going to have 4 stations to process materials, and the stations unlock as players progress in the profession. They require a certain amount of fuel to run, but you can mix and match different fuel sources. So you have like coal or timber. You can put both of those and use both of them as a fuel source for these buildings. Processing buildings also have branching trees, so you can focus on how you want to process materials. Maybe you have a robot to help you with a lot of the lumber mill stuff, or you have more saws available to cut faster. There's just different ways you can go with those building tiers. In the gameplay that they showed, we kind of saw how the farming is processed and how we get materials from livestock. I thought it was pretty cool. The pig being slaughtered in this video was pretty gruesome, but everything else I thought looked pretty amazing and really showcased the part of Ashes of Creation that has everybody wanting to play it. Combat is important, but it's really about the systems that Ashes has that makes it stand out. There were a couple of questions that were asked that I wanted to go into in this video, and one of them was for like the cosmetics that were very large in size. So there's cosmetics that are very large in size. They are building a system where multiple buildings can be occupied space-wise by one cosmetic. So the way I picture this in my mind is kind of like a strip mall type effect, and all of your buildings will just be in one area. Maybe it'll be a tall apartment type skyrise building, or it'll be like a wide one. And you just have a giant blueprint that covers all of it up. But whatever space you aren't utilizing for a building can be used for other purposes, like I mentioned earlier, for a farm or whatever. You can change the tree spec, as I call it, the trees that each branch has for each of the skill sets at a cost, and the upgrade paths are going to be specific to the building. There will be components for unique furniture recipes that can drop, and that depends on the rarity of where they are gotten. Married couples can't co-own a freehold, but the family system has permission-based things going on. So like each person's going to have their own freehold. So if you're married to somebody, y'all don't share it. But if you're in the same family, you can give them permission. It's almost like they share it. They're also talking about 2 types of inventory systems. There's one was where it's like a normal bag, and then there's like a gatherables bag, like your gatherables and crafting stuff, all those materials, which uses a Tetris type Diablo XCOM style inventory. If you know how that is, you know, you have certain things, you got to turn it left or right, or it fills up so many spaces like 2x3 or 3x2, and you kind of place those in the little blocks as they go. And that's because they want that to be meaningful when you go out to do any gathering or crafting, instead of just going out and gathering 500 of these and 1,000 of those and 200 of these and 300 of those. It's like, okay, well, I can only have space to gather this much stuff. So I'm going to go out and just get ore and fill up my slots, or I'm going to get ore and wood, fill up these, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't just gather them all and just fill up a square. One last thing though is that it's possible to choose the direction that everything is facing. So if you want your freehold to be facing over a cliff with a beautiful view, with your house facing over that, or a back window facing it, you'll be able to change your building around and have it set to where you want it to see. And this was all we had for this Freehold system. I believe I touched on everything here. There's fishing in the game, and you may be able to put the fish in a tank or a pond on the land for a cosmetic, but that's pretty much all of it. This was a pretty big showcase. I definitely recommend going to check out this video that I've been playing on the screen. Go check the full one out, listen to what they're saying. It's pretty cool. This is way more exciting to me than the combat showcases, because those things can really change as stuff gets balanced around, as they figure out where that goes. But the main systems of your housing and nodes, all of that stuff is going to pretty much be the same, because this is what building the world up and how they want it to change over time. Like, the weather system has always been the weather system. Just the difference is how it looks. So these are super important, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen next. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure you hit the subscribe button, like this video for more Ashes of Creation content. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next MMO video. Peace.